Hello, everybody. In the light of the new seminars and workshops and courses coming in Slovenia in October 2023 and February 2024, we have been asked some of the topics and contents that we are going to touch during the seminars. Besides what will be the clinical application and programs through our technologies in order to achieve the results, I'd like to highlight some points that are relevant for you in order to understand how much important is your presence during these events. One of the most important aspects of a treatment in physical therapy is actually the time we need for the minimum clinical results that we are expecting. And in this light, the variables that we're taking into account are very important. First of all, we need to take into consideration power, but not just the nominal power that we can find on a technical sheet, but actually the actual power that is delivered and deliverable on the tissue without side effects. As we know, for people already using our T+, that is one of the most performing device in terms of energy delivery per second, we know that it could reach up to 300 watts, but in some conditions, for instance, when you have high impedance within the tissues, this might be limited to the natural resistance opposed by the body. One of the difference of the T Advanced, in this case, that is the reason why we are launching a new product in the market, is that this unit is able not just to control this power depending on where we are with the electrode, but actually is able to release even more force when the resistance is big. Once again, power deliverable are strictly related to the amount of joule that we can accumulate into the tissue each second. And of course, this has an impact on the total time we need in order to have an effective treatment. The great advantage with these two units, and in particular with T Advanced, is that we are able to actually deliver up to 300 watts during our treatments, even when the resistance of the body are really big. To give you an idea, we are able to deliver up to 15,000 joules to 18,000 joules just in 1 minute. That is more than enough to have an effective treatment in most of the relevant musculoskeletal disorder that we are normally treating. So to make a long story short, even though most of you might be used to the idea that a thicker unit would require at least 30 minutes, 20 minutes to achieve certain results, in this case, having more energy available in less time, we are able to deliver the minimum quantity of energy actually just in 5 minutes during our treatments. And this will be a great help in managing your schedule during the day. Some additional features that are very important. One thing is the deliverable power from the unit. Another thing is how much we are actually able to deliver to the body based on other variables, like the surface of contacts. One of the big advantages of the T+, for instance, is that I'm able to deliver power based and adaptable based on the surface of contact of the electrode. So that during the treatment, I'm able to touch the electrode, I'm able to move the electrode or stay steady even in high power, a great advantage. And at the same time, even in case I have a change of surface of contact, a change of the angle of the electrode on the skin, this wouldn't be at all a problem because the unit basically automatically adjusts the power delivered. Another aspect to take into consideration is the return plate. So the return plate is not just something that is closing the circuit on the body, but actually something affecting the amount of power that I'm able to deliver without side effects on the surface. If I want to be sure to deliver a lot of power, so save time, without superficial overheating. At the plate level, I need a wide plate and flexible so that the surface of contact with the patient body is optimized. Another important aspect of therapy is the fact that the principle that is giving you the effects on the tissues is able to reach the tissues themselves. So here we have a device that has 7 studies published on impact factor reviews. Among them, we have studies on Nature as well, showing that we are able to reach tissues as deep as an anterior cruciate ligament, a posterior cruciate ligament, a sacrotuberoso ligament. So basically, we know that we can reach any type of tissue within the body. Another important aspect is not just the fact of reaching the tissues, but it is also being able to accumulate the energy what actually is needed, so that I'm not wasting watts or joules or current flow somewhere within the body that is not relevant from a treatment point of view. So having a unit that allows you to push with power and is enable you to stay steady on that specific spot so that the energy is actually accumulated in that specific spot. And here we can apply up to 450 volt ampere, staying steady on that spot for several minutes. And this allows to accumulate a huge amount of energy exactly where it's needed. So forget this type of way of working. Focus on actually where you need to deliver your energy. Another important aspect is not just the amount of power deliverable, but is also where and how to manage and affect this energy accumulation. So what's the value of having a full set of electrodes with different shapes, with different sizes? This is related to being able of managing where the highest density of current and energy will be accumulated. So that in one case we have big electrodes able to transfer as much energy as possible deeply into the tissue, or smaller electrode that will force the current flow to be more dense where you have the electrode, for instance, increasing the thermal effect in less time. Another point is the shape, okay? So it's not just a matter of the size of the electrode, but actually is also a matter of the shape of the electrode. Especially in capacitive, one of the most impactful variable is the surface of contact. So sometimes we have flat surfaces, sometimes we have concave surfaces. So that's why in your set you want to have some electrodes that comply with this requirement. Another aspect is the energy measurement and the current flow measurement. Okay? Most of the devices up there shows you a relative number, a percentage, a graph, or sometimes they show the consumed amount of power. What is relevant for you is not what is consumed, but is what is delivered to the tissues. So that's why a unit should have a clear way to measure the energy delivered, to give you an idea on the actual current flow that is getting exactly within the tissues and where you want based on the electrodes that we are using, and of course the time that is elapsing during the treatment. How do we make a powerful device that is already able to deliver a lot of energy and make you save a bunch of time even better? Okay, so the answer is here. One of the most important things is giving the intelligence to the unit to understand most of the things that the therapist is doing during the treatment. That's why the advanced has a continuous communication between the handpiece and the unit. And these allow to measure and check different variables that will intervene on the different curves of current that are available during the treatment. Well, one of the answers is what type of one of the questions would be, what type of electrodes am I using? Okay, and this is one of the most important information that we can get here. So the control is sending the info to the unit saying, hey, here you're using this specific type of electrode. In this case, a 100 millimeters diameter electrode. This will affect how the unit will react to the request of force. So once again, 100 millimeter electrode, then let's say that I wanted to change the electrode, checking electrode, here reading another one. So this is a 35 millimeter electrode. Of course, this will limit the amount of force that we can apply so that we are not going to be harmful for the patient. Another point is what happened once I am on the body and I'm closing the circuit. Great advantage here is we can do that specifically just using the control. Okay, so we don't need any remote control anymore, or we don't need to go back and forward from and to the unit. And we are able to increase the voltage applied just working with the control. So, we're ready to work. Insert electrode, getting the electrode in position, ready to go. With the control, without touching the device, I'm able to increase the power applied. And here I'm already able to see with the graphic imaging how much voltage I can push based on the surface of contact, based on the resistance that the device is reading. Okay? 1.2 amperes, 146 volts for 119 ohm. Okay? 165 watts steady on one spot with such a close geometry. So now let's say that we move from an electrode of 100 millimeters to a smaller electrode. Okay? What will happen under the unit? The unit will recognize it, and actually it is 35 millimeters, and it will adapt the curve of current based on the new condition. So with the same geometry and same resistance on the body, actually it will limit the flow of current to a level that is not harmful for the patient in this condition. In fact, we are able to reach with this specific electrode in this specific condition of resistance 45 watts. But by the way, in terms of density of energy, still is able to increase the temperature in few seconds. And I can stay steady on the spot.